Historic morning as Bibi Netanyahu, Prime Minister of Israel, arrives in Washington, D.C. for what they're at least teasing out, could be the next step towards a final step of a peace agreement in the Middle East between Israel and what will become some form of Palestinian government. Now, there is a laundry list of demands that would have to be made. I will be honest, as I was last week when they started to leak out. This list, though they seem very hopeful, and more hopeful, I have to say, than I have heard the Trump administration or even the state of Israel, and maybe because they know they need to get something done, that these deal points will be made. And obviously it does consist of Hamas being completely removed from power and a temporary government being put in place, as well as all the hostages being released. We have the whole list.
We've got a release of all remaining hostages within 48 hours of a ceasefire and a permanent ceasefire that goes along with that. That would be a very initial sign of whether or not there's good faith on both sides that this is going to get done.
Yeah, because that has not. That has been one of the things many times that gets there. And then, of course, there's been, sadly, there's been disgusting, the bait and switches of the bodies. There's been a lot of things that have happened. You got to always look back at some of the barbaric nature of this whole thing. Remember, there was a time where the family, including the kids, were sent back, and when they checked the caskets that were paraded through town, I find out that those were not the correct bodies that were in them for a while.
That's right. And so a lot of these first ones are just the short term, ending this conflict. But then the second half of the proposal ceasefire are things that you look forward to in the way to reshape this region. So there's a release of a lot of prisoners. A lot of times these happen with these negotiations. Post-war plan that includes a governing mechanism in Gaza without Hamas. This will include an international and Arab board with a Palestinian Authority representative and a technocratic government of unaffiliated Palestinians in Gaza. I don't know where they're going to find those unaffiliated Palestinians because many people in Gaza are Hamas by de facto situation there. But once again, this is a very lofty goal, a security force that would include Palestinians, but also soldiers from Arab and Muslim countries, a gradual withdrawal from all of Israel from all of Gaza Strip, funding from Arab and Muslim countries. So this isn't the United States paying for this. This is partners in the region that want this, that have been pushing for this, that have backed the Palestinians for a long time.
Other Arab countries.
Right. So you think Saudi Arabia, you think Qatar, these countries that have put their support behind the Palestinian cause, so to speak. They're basically saying, put your money where your mouth is and form a new administration, fund it, and that helps with the reconstruction and development of Gaza. There will be some involvement of the Palestinian Authority in the new governing mechanism in Gaza.
What is the Palestinian Authority at this point?
Well, it runs the West Bank. It's their government. Governing body.
They would then go into Gaza and say, we're going to set up shop.
Palestinian Authority for a while was in Gaza, and then when Israel completely occupied Gaza, then withdrew over 20 years ago, they had elections. They had a choice in Gaza between the Palestinian Authority and Hamas, and the people of Gaza chose Hamas in that situation. So I think just because of maybe continuity, they would have some Palestinian Authority representatives. They won't be the full government. It does give a little bit more credibility than I'm comfortable with to the PA at this point, because they are not the good guys.
Kind of my concern with a lot of these points is that it gives a lot of credibility to people that I don't think have earned it.
Then you get to the process of disarming Hamas and demilitarizing Gaza, which includes destroying all remaining heavy weapons and tunnels. Amnesty, which you already mentioned.
So, that one, let's just go back to that. The process of disarming Hamas and demilitarizing Gaza, which includes destroying remaining heavy weapons, that's essentially saying, we're going to level this. That's what it kind of sounds like.
And that's where it goes back to the Muslim countries and Arab countries surrounding would pay for reconstruction and redevelopment. Right. So, you're going to have to wipe it clean of the buildings and the infrastructure, because so much of that, the hospitals, the mosques, the schools, are all connected underground by terror tunnels.
Yeah, so when you see that, we got to remember, again, what some of these points actually mean. And that's why maybe I'm a little less hopeful than President Trump is sounding.
Right.
But again, I don't want to be the person who's going to, be sad on this and say this can't happen, it's not going to happen. But as you said, if they weren't able to accomplish this, it would be historic.
Here's the problem. It has to be negotiated between the parties. Other countries can't come in and force this. And what we need to remember is history here, that over and over and over, and I can't say that enough, and over again, every time there has been any attempt to negotiate a peace between the two sides here, Israel and whether it's Gaza, West Bank, it doesn't matter, with the Palestinian Authority or Hamas, every single time, Israel is more than willing to compromise and to agree. And in fact, you've had agreements multiple times by Israel, every single time. Whether it seems like they're trying to paint the Palestinian Authority as a more mild,
more reasonable actor.
That's right, absolutely. But you have to remember that the PA has absolutely rejected these peace agreements, these negotiations time and time and time again. So I guess I'm a little bit leery in that you're not going to get, I think Israel will probably compromise. Israel will come to an agreement, and we will once again see Hamas saying, no, we're not going to agree.
That's the thing, is I don't want to be someone who is coming in and saying this is, impossible or maybe shouldn't happen. I don't know. I'm not involved directly in what's going on in Israel. I'm not there. Trust me, I've been wanting to get back for a number of years now, and it breaks my heart that I haven't been able to go back. But I'm also concerned about the big ramifications of this. We've seen when Israel has given too much in previous times, and how inevitably it leads to something like October 7th, where it leads to a big terrorist attack of their people. Because again, it is very much as there are a lot of Western Muslims, Western people who are not these people, there is still a very anti-Israel sentiment that is within the DNA of Gaza. And some of it is they've been bred to believe this. They've been told this in their schools and all. It's hard to separate that. I mean, it really is. So just a on paper agreement is not as cut and dry as it seems. I will point to a President Trump and go, I understand he wants to end the war and maybe has a different kind of vested interest in Israel than maybe I do. Maybe than the Jewish people do. Maybe than the Zionist culture does. Maybe you could look at Benjamin Netanyahu saying, okay, he understands there's also a big changing tide in America that is turning against Israel, including on the right. And he's actually said that. He called it the woke Reich the other day, as talking about that there's not much difference between what you hear from the woke left and what he was calling the woke Reich, which was people that are spewing a lot of hatred towards not just Israel. And I think that is where things get wrong. There are commentators, and I can probably go through and name them, who actually are critical of Israel, but are not spending their time stirring up Jewish hatred and propaganda.
Once again, I think also that lie, that anti-Semitic trope that gets drug from history into modern day, that, the Jews control everything, including the American government. If that were the case...
I'm going to clip that just to be just that.
Thanks, I appreciate that.
Yep.
If that were the case, President Trump would never propose something like this.
Yeah, it would never get signed.
This is not something that Bibi Netanyahu was begging for. This is not the type of plan that the government of Israel was hoping for. There's a lot here that is hopeful that for something to end. Historically, that's where all the concerns are.
Yeah, is this
even a possible thing to happen? I don't. Yes, Hamas and Israel could agree to this. I don't know how this is ever implemented in a real way.
In a way that's not very risky. I mean, very risky for Israel, very risky for people of whatever be that future Palestinian state.